Those reciprocal tariffs, those aren't tariffs.
Sam.
He's combined. He is basically what they've tried to figure out is like, where'd they get these numbers from? And they have taken the trade deficit and divided it by what we send there. And that's the way that they assume that that's a tariff. It's basically, they're just saying, we have these trade deficits.
Because this is a way to bring down our deficits, to reduce taxes.
No. We're going to raise so much revenue. We're going to reduce our deficit. This is a way to reduce taxes. How do you utter those two things within 5 seconds of each other? What the fuck are you on? You're just lying. You're just lying. This guy knows he's lying.
67%.
That's just not.
Us to them, 34%. EU, 39%.
This is the list that the White House put out. And all economists are looking at this and going, what are they talking about?
Can fact check.
Yeah, they're not going to put out false information.
Can fact check this. If not, that's Newsweek. You don't.
How is their brain this broken? Dog, they're not going to put out false information. Dog, Sam literally in the first 5 minutes of this debate explained what they did to get the reciprocal tariff rate.
No.
I would go, okay, so no matter what Trump does, you're not going to support.
No, I would support targeted tariffs.
If trillions of dollars are going to be invested in the U.S. economy to create jobs, you don't support that.
What's that?
If trillions of dollars of money is going to be invested.
I'm going to shoot myself. You just shift investment. You shift investment. You're not going to, again, there's opportunity cost to think. The resources being used to make these plants in America have opportunity cost. Every American working in a steel factory is an American that could have been working for Apple. Apple's an engineer, not like Apple screwing in assembling iPhones. If you want to see more content like this, I would really appreciate you liking and subscribing. It really helps with the algorithm. And make sure to check out the Discord and other social links in the description. I want to see Sam Cedar hopefully not have cringe takes on tariffs because he's more left-wing than me, but oh boy, let's see.
Set to unleash Liberation Day tariffs. President Trump will unveil Liberation Day tariffs on Wednesday at 4 p.m.
That was yesterday.
In the White House's Rose Garden, promising to stop America being ripped off and deliver a new golden age of U.S. industry. Though U.S. White House Press Secretary Karen Lehman said that he was still perfecting it to make sure it's a perfect deal with advisors less than 24 hours before. Trump, who on Monday claimed he'd be very kind, has kept details vague with reports suggesting options from reciprocal tariffs to a 20% blanket rate or preferential treatment for some nations. Rob, if you want to play this, is this yesterday, Rob, or is this...
This is yesterday from the Rose Garden. This is
fantastic. Go for it.
My fellow Americans, this is Liberation Day. Waiting for a long time.
You're all about to be liberated from your money.
2025 will forever be remembered as the day American industry was reborn, the day America's destiny was reclaimed, and the day that we began to make America wealthy again. We're going to make it wealthy, good and wealthy.
I also have another clip. This is the president discussing how the tariffs will help eliminate income tax.
Go for it.
From 1789 to 1930.
I think Sam Cedar will know this, but literally not mathematically possible. It's not possible to tariff enough to raise the same amount of revenue as income tax does, because as for any tax, there's a revenue maximizing rate of it, right? So you can't just tax something 700% and expect to, continue raising that, collect 700% of revenue, because people just stop buying whatever you're taxing, right? So with tariffs, you probably can't tariff shit over like 100% without people just not importing stuff anymore, right? And it wouldn't even be a good idea to do that, because tariffs are just generally pretty bad. Whatever problems we may have with income tax, okay, it is 1, progressive, while tariffs are regressive, and 2, it doesn't invite other countries to retaliate. No country is going to say, fuck you, U.S., for having income tax. We're going to hurt you. They do that. With tariffs. Double note assume, please invest responsibly. True.
We were a tariff-backed nation.
Nonfon, do you think Trump wants to kill American economy on purpose to turn U.S. back into industrial economy? I think Trump just genuinely does not have a good understanding of the trade deficit and trade, and just likes tariffs because of that. There was I saw this like today. There was like a transcript of him with an advisor where the advisor was showing him that data from people like leaving manufacturing jobs voluntarily. See, the biggest leaves of jobs people leaving voluntarily was manufacturing. I don't get it, Trump said. Cohen tried to explain. I can sit in a nice office with air conditioning and a desk or stand on my feet 8 hours a day. Which one would you do for the same pay? Cohen added, people don't want to stand in front of a 2,000-degree blast furnace. People don't want to go in coal mines and get black lung. For the same or equal dollars, they're going to choose something else. Trump wasn't buying it. Several times Cohen just asked the president, Why do you have these views? I just do, Trump said. I've had these for 30 years. Considering everything else he said about the trade deficit being like a profit and loss statement, I think he just genuinely does not understand a trade deficit.
And the United States was proportionately the wealthiest it has ever been. So wealthy, in fact, that in the 1880s, they established a commission to decide what they were going to do with the vast sums of money they were collecting. We were collecting so much money so fast, we didn't know what to do with it. Isn't that a nice problem to have? What do you think, Marco? Good problem? Marco would love that problem. But we don't have that problem anymore, but we're not going to have it very much longer, I will tell you. But they collected so much money, they actually formed a commission to determine what they were going to do with the money, who they were going to give it to, and how much. Then in 1913, for reasons unknown to mankind, they established the income tax so that citizens, rather than foreign countries, would start paying the money necessary to run our government. Then in 1929, it all came to a very abrupt end with the Great Depression, and it would have never happened if they had stayed with the tariff policy. It would have been a much different story. They tried to bring back tariffs to save our country, but it was gone. It was gone. It was too late. Nothing could have been done. It took years and years to get out of that depression, far longer than even FDR had that office right over there for a long period of time. The ramp system, it's rather intricate, was built because of him, and every time you walk up, you think of him, and he did a great job in many ways, but it lasted long beyond his terms, as you know. But it's not too late any longer, and we're going to start being smart, and we're going to start being very wealthy again. We're going to be wealthy as a country because they've taken so much
God, how long
away from
yes,
us.
we get
let
it.
that happen. We truly can be very wealthy. We can be
we
so much wealthier
like
than any
tariffs.
country. It's not even believable,
right.
but we're getting smart.
Okay, Tom, your thoughts on this, and I'll continue.
Thanks.
So markets love continuity, even if continuity is rooted in, trade inequality and things that have been going on for decades.
Yep.
And get through the shift, to get through the food poisoning, we can see markets react to sentiment, and markets don't know what to make of this. How many tariffs are going to stay for a day versus a week versus a month? You don't know. How many tariffs are going to shift?
Oh, it's almost like uncertainty is bad. It's almost like, thanks former black guy for the follow. I appreciate it. It's almost like uncertainty is bad, and uncertainty has been shown to reduce business investment. And by the way, even the stock market partly is reacting to uncertainty, but also is reacting to the fact that whatever tariffs do stick, they will just be bad. They will be bad. They will reduce employment. They will reduce output. They will reduce the after-tax profit of these companies. Good ways to increase the use of my genitalia. I don't have any advice for you there, buddy. Unfortunately, I'm not the guy to talk to about that one.
Israel actually backed down and said, okay, we're done. Yesterday, correct? Israel went, hang on.
The tariffs won't stay. They are told to balance things and get closer to free trade. Why the fuck? Why the fuck are we assuming that Trump likes free trade? He pulled out of the TPP. He did tariffs during his first term. He constantly says we're being ripped off. He constantly says trade deficits are bad. The entire formula for the reciprocal tariff was premised on the idea that we should have balanced trade with every country. The guy does not like free trade. But second of all, there are probably ways to get to freer trade with these countries that don't involve crashing the fucking stock market and creating this much uncertainty. It's obviously absurd. Download Grindr? Maybe.
We're good. We're backing off. We're done here. Interesting. Canada moved a couple of them. Not the rest of them. Canada's still figuring it out, but they're blinking. Canada is blinking. So now the question is going to be, how long does all this take? And the markets, the markets don't like it. The markets don't like the sentiment of uncertainty. And that's why you have Jim Cramer and other people, we're getting killed out here. You're getting killed because you like the status quo that you had a minute ago, because you knew how to play that game and you knew how those markets worked. And respectfully, they're there to trade and make money in an increasing market. What is easier? It's easier to stay yesterday with what we've got, or there's a greater goal. And the greater goal is American jobs. And the jobs report was better than people thought. Interesting. That's not a hit.
By the way, if the payrolls report was worse than expectations, people would just say either, one, the bullshit they say for the stock market where it's short-term gain or short-term loss for long-term gain, or they would say the tariffs haven't actually had any effect yet. So obviously the jobs report is not going to be reflective of tariffs. That is what literally Howard Lutnick was saying before the payrolls report. He said, we're not going to see the effects of tariffs in the recent payroll reports. We're going to see it, a year from now. We're not going to see it until the end of 2025. Yeah, obviously. By the way, these are the same people who said the job numbers under Biden were outright faked. Shut the fuck up. Now you trust the BLS, really? Now the BLS is the institution you trust? Dog. Minecraft yourself.
Headline.
And also, the tariffs obviously don't increase jobs on net. No empirical evidence supports it, and it doesn't. We have good reason in theory to believe that they don't, because obviously tariffs hurt exports. They hurt the unprotected sectors because they shift investment away from unprotected sectors and towards protected sectors. Look up Iowa car crop. Tariffs don't protect jobs.
Set buried. And you've got the uncertainty of the markets. Now, the uncertainty of markets makes everybody look at their 401k and look at the things and be concerned. And yes, there's concern there. But
you're right, they don't. But why does a country put tariffs on American products? Because this is going to be crazy to you. This is going to be crazy to you. Economists have actually thought about that. There's actually an entire subfield of economics called public choice theory to answer this very question. And the answer is that trade to protect, it's absolutely not to protect jobs, is because, what the fuck? Oh, I thought it was a dildo. It's just a bong. Damn. Tariffs have very concentrated benefits, but very diffused losses. So, for example, in the U.S., sugar companies lobby to keep U.S. sugar or it's a quota, but essentially U.S. sugar tariffs in place. Okay, that hurts American consumers, but that hurts American consumers across 300 million different American consumers. So it only costs the average consumer like $30 a year, but it grants these U.S. sugar companies like billions and billions of dollars in profit. And because these individuals only are losing $30 a year and their individual vote can't affect much, it's actually perfectly rational for them to not care about the tariffs. It's actually, look up rational ignorance. They're rational for being ignorant about the tariff existing. They do it because okay. I mean, I'll grant you tariffs can have different motivations, but a big reason other countries have tariffs is just what I described, public choice theory. And these countries are tariffing us at like 2%, okay? Like, most countries have mostly free trade with us.
You got to look down the street and see where we're going. And it is not easy to get through the food poisoning, but there is life on the other side, and you can see that's what the president is talking about. And I think we got to trust it, and we got to look at what's going on. We can already see little islands of change going on. So let's find out how everybody else moves on these tariffs.
Sam. You said tariff was the last word. That was the only time you used the word tariffs. Look, I am in favor of tariffs when it is part of a specific agenda to build a certain industry or a certain industry within a certain region. This is absolute insanity. First off, they're going to use this as potential revenue. Like he says, it's not going to replace the income tax, but what they're going to do is they're going to use it as an excuse to cut taxes on wealthy people. You guys will be very excited about that. But who's going to pay that tax? If it's $600 billion a year, as they're saying, over a 10-year period, it's going to be $6 trillion. That is going to be an average of 5,000.
Tariffs almost certainly are not going to raise that much revenue because people are just going to import less, and also because it's decently easy to avoid tariffs. Like they're not a particularly hard tax to avoid. Everyone everywhere is talking about tariffs. Yeah.
$1 tax on Americans. It is a regressive tax. I like taxation, but I like progressive taxation because $5,000 for somebody making $40,000 is a much bigger problem than $5,000 for me or for you. So this is a regressive tax on Americans. Now, if it's to work to build up industry, and I don't know how we're going to have a banana industry in this country or how we're going to have
True. There are so many goods that does not make sense to tariff because they like literally just can't be made here. So even if they presumably and then also the tariffs Trump is doing are tariffing intermediate goods. We have evidence from this, from the steel tariffs, from a bunch of other tariffs. Shadow given to Switzerland. If you tariff intermediate goods, that actually hurts manufacturing because you tariff all the fucking inputs people use to make other shit. Half of the imports we get from Mexico and Canada are for intermediate goods. They're goods used to make other goods. So you fuck over manufacturers when you do this. You don't even help manufacturing. And also, tariffs harm exports. They do so by appreciating exchange rates and actually there's a lot of mechanisms. There's like 4 different mechanisms. But the biggest ones, appreciating exchange rates and retaliatory tariffs that are placed on our exports, right? Like, yeah. And a lot of manufacturing companies export their shit.
Lumber industry to rival Canada's because we just don't have the wood, and so on. I mean, people get the idea. You know, there's certain industries you can actually say, this is one we're going to build up. Maybe there will be a low-cost clothing business that revives in this country, but I doubt it. But if tariffs are meant to work to build up industry, that means people aren't paying those taxes. So The tariffs may not raise the money, but what will happen is, and I think you understand this too about pricing, if the price of goods goes up on average, and it looks like in some of these places it's going to go way above 10%. I mean, some of Vietnam, like 39%, China, 75%. They're adding all of these tariffs on. It's insane. Then U.S. companies, to the extent that there are ones that are making these same goods, they have between 0 and 75% to raise their prices. And they will because, the price of this...
That's not even the only... I haven't actually read it yet, but tariffs raise domestic prices for other reason. Part of it is the reduced competition. Part of it is just because their quantity supplied domestically goes up.
There's a certain elasticity, and they can justify raising their prices 5% if their nearest competitor is, 25% raise in price. I mean, they'll do it because, there's some products that people just can't do without.
Tariffing the silicone mine because it won't buy my solar panels like a Chad. Yep.
So this is such a disaster. And of course, what it also does is last time we had a major financial crisis in this country in 2008, it took 6 years for the stock market to get back at parity. You're talking about 401ks have been a disaster insofar as people just don't put as much money in them as they should because they don't have the money on a regular basis. But God help those people if there wasn't Social Security, a robust Social Security, because if you've got to retire and you're 65 and you were planning on retiring, you have a small 401k, it is screwed. And it may not come back for years. Maybe it'll come back tomorrow. But
how do you feel about reciprocal tariffs?
Here's the other absolute insanity. Those tariffs that he claimed on that chart are not tariffs. Every economist out there has been saying, where did he get these numbers? And they're starting to figure out that they did some weird... There's countries on there that don't even have
6 years from now, America. Dude, it's actually insane how much of MAGA can just be explained with the one chart. I remember pulling this up on stream. I pulled this up on stream like months ago. There's two different charts, actually. This one. And another one pretty similar to it. It just adds... It's just... has direct reference to the broken window fallacy. It's like obviously there's a story called like the parable of the broken window. It's like I think it's like some author like responding to the argument that like, oh, the destruction caused by World War II, is actually good because now we're investing like all this money like rebuilding everything and the economy is like going good again. And he's like, well, if you didn't destroy everything, that money would have been spent anyway. And now there are actually cases where that's kind of not true. If you look up Paul Krugman babysitting co-op, you can kind of understand there are cases where that isn't true and it actually is beneficial to, do fiscal stimulus basically, because there is such thing as a paradox of thrift. But absent paradox of thrift, MAGA is just, which we're not in a paradox of thrift right now. MAGA is literally just doing broken window fallacy. Like, they're not seeing the counterfactual.
It's bizarre. They took like the CIA fact book and just made a list of countries. I mean, it's completely for show.
Which countries?
There's Google it. There's like 1 or 2 places where there's no people.
Every single one of those countries.
They released a big release. He'll find it. And these are not actual tariffs that are being applied to us.
Every single one of these countries.
Are we sure there's people there?
China, the EU, Vietnam, Taiwan, Japan, India, South Korea, Thailand, Switzerland, Indonesia, Malaysia, Cambodia. Which of those countries are there not people living?
Put in the Trump just added a tariff on a country with no.
All right, but okay, so he added one country that maybe
he's talking about it's like a French territory, the Harold and MacDonald Island or whatever.
It's just an indication of how slapdash this is.
No, dude,
but these are not tariffs. These are not
on one
those reciprocal tariffs. They're not. Those aren't tariffs. He's combined. He is basically what they've tried to figure out is like where'd they get these numbers from, and they have taken the trade deficit and divided it by what we send there. And that's the way that they assume that that's a tariff. It's basically they're just saying we have these trade deficits, and of course we have trade deficits with certain places.
And also, again, even it's not trade deficit in goods, only in goods, not in services. Again, we export services. We buy cheap clothes from Cambodia and export fucking banking financial services to Cambodia. What fucking do you want your country making cheap clothes? Do you want your country having clothes sweatshops, or do you want your country doing advanced financial banking shit like dog? Can you explain why a trade deficit with a specific country is bad? I can't, because they're not. It's not. It makes sense to have trade deficits with some countries, especially trade deficit in goods. Countries specialize in producing different things, and that's good. And there are gains to be had from, importing from certain countries and exporting to other countries. So for some countries, we're going to run trade deficits, and some countries we're going to run trade surpluses. It's not really bad. It's not bad per se. There are kind of cases where the trade deficit is kind of reflective of other issues. For example, a budget deficit can increase the trade deficit because it decreases savings domestically. But it's not bad per se.
Some products that we're just never going to make. And there's some places that don't have the buying power that we have. I mean, so this is just bizarre. And even like former Trump trade people were just like, well, maybe it's just an opening salvo for a negotiation. And maybe it is. I mean, like I'm just fortunate that I'm not planning on retiring soon and my 401k isn't decimated. But this is going to cause inflation. And these prices are not going to come down. I mean, Trump is trying to tell U.S. automakers, don't raise your prices. And if he wants to impose...
I mean, even if they did eventually come down, again, just think about opportunity cost. Like we're always going to have the opportunity cost where we're wasting resources because we have to use more domestic resources to make the same amount to get the same amount of shit. Like, what's the pick up button? Right click. I was hitting right click. There's no
price controls. He would not be the first Republican president to do this. Nixon was the first president and the only president, as far as I know, to do price controls, at least in the modern era. I'm not necessarily against price controls in certain situations, but this is like such an own goal. It's fascinating.
Well, of course.
No, Jimmy Carter's waging price controls for decades before Nixon. Whoops. Checking my notes. No, he was after.
Right.
It wasn't just Nixon.
Well, Nixon started it, right?
And there was no other president since
Nixon started it.
I was just kind of correcting that.
Okay. I'm for price controls.
You are for price controls.
Well, I think
no, Sam, you're doing so good, Sam. No, how do we already get the cringe shit, Sam? No.
We should have applied some in the wake of COVID. Yes, there was a lot of gouging going on. I think everybody knows that.
I think it's
not a horrible position, I guess. That's maybe a defendable a little bit. What am I supposed to do? To the station in the new room? What is the new room? Is this my new room?
I mean, there's plenty of data that at least 40% of the inflation was a function of gouging in some form or another.
Well, no, Sam, don't cite the bullshit. No, don't cite the bullshit like EPI data. No, Sam, no, why? Sam, why? Sam. How do I rotate that, Sam?
I don't think, like, genuinely, whether you're a progressive or democratic socialist or skew socialist, you're talking to a bunch of capitalists and an angry patriot. That's cool. Like, we're not going to change your mind. You're probably not going to change our mind. But what we're solving for is the truth. The reality is these reciprocal tariffs. What Pat asked you about. Are you familiar with the golden rule?
You want to?
Sam already explained this. He already explained. All Trump did was divide the trade deficit by imports. He started fucking tariffs. Are you kidding? Are they? Get a little listening. Hello.
No. Do you abide by the golden rule?
I mean, in my personal relationships, yes.
There you go. So the golden rule is: you want to do something to me, I'm going to do it to you.
Also, I don't know how to explain it to people. Other countries having tariffs on you is not actually a good justification for tariffing them, absent game theory where you where you eventually negotiate to freer trade, right? I'm gonna show you. This is a graph of tariffs. Okay. When there's no other country tariffing you. Okay. This is a graph of. This is a graph of tariffs, okay? When no other country's tariffing you, okay? You see this? It's a little cut off, but like you can see, part is dead weight loss, okay? Look at dead weight loss. Now I'm going to show you a tariff of a reciprocal tariff. I'm going to show you a graph of what it looks like when you do a reciprocal tariff. You'll notice it's the same graph. It's the same fucking graph. There's still dead weight loss. There's still losses from tariffing other countries. Still not good. Nothing the state does is in a price control, the legal structure for property, the budgeting, the winners and losers. I understand we lean towards open markets, but politics is winners and losers. I don't know if I would call everything we do a price control, obviously. I don't I mean, yeah, no, I always just say, like, definitionally, like, a lot of this shit is not price controls, even if it has, like, some influence on prices and some distortions, but...
Treat me fairly, I'll treat you fairly. If you're good with me, I'll be good with you. But if you want to...
fair.
Hold on, guy. If you want to actually take advantage of me, then all of a sudden we might have to have a economic war. And that's what's happening. So if you show up that list, I know you want to focus on the one random country that you can't name. Hold on.
Tell us how England is taking advantage of us.
Well, England is part of the UK. We understand that. But if you want to go...
how is the UK...
What the fuck, dude? Can you not? You can't infer. You can't have some basic logic here that he's referring to the UK.
Sam, hold on. You know, when people talk, you listen, and then when you talk, I listen. That's how conversations go. You know that.
I'm just asking you to clarify.
Okay, I'm going to get there. So the way that these tariffs work is if they're doing something to us, we'll do something to them. Rob, show the picture. So
God, please, Sam already addressed this. You're not listening. What do you mean? Why are you asking Sam to listen? And the funny thing is, Sam just asked him to explain how the UK is ripping them off, and he's like, well, no, you have to listen. Pull up the image of the shit you already debunked. Like, not definitionally, but it's all legal construct, free markets. It's something we do to avoid the... I mean, I don't totally disagree with you there.
I would love to hear what you think. So all these countries have people living. All these countries, these, China, the EU, that's part of, all those countries over there. You get the UK over there, Vietnam, Taiwan, Japan, India. I'm pretty sure there's a bunch of people living in India, South Korea, Thailand. All these countries are charging us. Right. So the reality is, if you go through the numbers,
Sam already explained. No.
There's a whole list.
Sam, I need you to pay attention. I'm on the phone charging us. I got it.
Here we go now. A whole list.
They're charging us way more.
90%.
Okay, what's the... Sam already explained this bullshit. What do we think, chat? What do we think? Hearts, clubs, diamonds, spades. I'm gonna guess clubs. Let's fuck.
To access their markets, then we are charging.
That's the whole point. Those are not tariffs.
Stop it. You're gonna have to...
Rob, do me a favor.
So we're charging on average 2.5%. The EU is charging on average 20%. Japan is 24%. China...
Hello? Can you listen? Hello?
So we're charging on average 2.5%. The EU is charging on average 20%. Japan is 24%. China 34%. Taiwan 32%. Vietnam 46%. These is what the numbers are. Now, if you have different numbers, I'd love to see them. But the reality is, some of these countries are our friends, and some of these countries
Okay. He's just not gonna listen. He just doesn't care. He just like lying. He just...
our foes. And as Trump says, if you want to listen to what Trump says, in many cases, many of our friends are a lot worse. He cited Australia won't even let us sell U.S. beef. So all these situations are actual numbers. He talks about the golden rule. There's a similarity there. The golden age of America is what he's talking about, because this is a way to bring down our deficits, to reduce taxes. I'm gonna
fucking lose it. We're going to raise so much revenue. We're going to reduce our deficit. This is a way to reduce taxes. How do you utter those two things within 5 seconds of each other? What the fuck are you on? You're just lying. This guy knows he's lying. He know what type of fucking... Hello?
I'd love to hear the golden age of America is what are actual... Because this is a way to bring down our deficits, to reduce taxes. I would love to hear if you had a better idea.
Bring down our deficits...
yeah, Sam's gonna mention it. Like,
these are trade deficits.
Okay,
so we have a trade deficit with.
Oh, my bad. He meant trade deficits. Oh, okay. Is he ever? He's not gonna be able to elaborate why trade deficits are bad. Trade deficits in goods, not even on the whole, are bad. But okay.
Canada of $200 billion a year. They charge us in many cases 200-300% for dairy. Okay, Mexico is an example.
No, they do not. No, you're absolutely 100% wrong on the dairy. No. Your dairy thing is absolutely wrong.
You think this is
I believe Sam is right. I believe that's only if we input, or it's like a quota system. So like any dairy imported above a certain threshold is tariffed, and we never even reached that threshold. Fuck.
Dairy thing.
Yes, this is not.
What Trump said in his speech.
Yes, Trump lied. There is not a single pint of
milk
milk
like you lied
of dairy
about
that goes.
How many countries don't have people? Pretty sure India's got a couple people.
That dairy goes to Canada. We don't. If we sell a certain threshold, tariffs are applied, but we don't reach that threshold ever. There are not a dollar.
Because it's too damn expensive to access the marketplace.
No.
Anyway, I'm talking about.
Are you fucking stupid?
Sweeping tariffs. You're talking about being a milkman. What I want to understand is why don't you
don't
think
care about any of the facts at all?
It's hilarious. Don't BS me.
No, it's hilarious.
I used to think
Google
like you.
dairy. Google dairy
Sam,
tariffs to Canada.
Fuck your dairy.
You brought up dairy.
Dude, what the hell, man? Canada tariffs our dairy. No, it's a quota system. We never reached that. We never reached the quota, so no, they don't. Fuck your dairy, Sam. Dude, are you kidding me? But
you want to go? I'm giving one example. You want to have?
That's the only example you gave.
Auto Auto industries, they're charging us 25%. We're now doing a minimum tax 10% across the board. So
minimum, but in other places,
I think that actually the 10% across the board actually exempted Canada and Mexico. But okay, Jesus, liberate the cows and supply management come back.
It's Vietnam.
Let me ask a simple question. So the whole thing Adam just said, it could have been simplified to we have around $1 trillion of trade deficits. Would you like to fix that?
Part of the reason why we have those trade deficits is because A, we keep our dollar strong. B, because there are bigger customer bases.
This is it's true. I actually don't think the he says we keep our dollar strong. People kind of just want to hold U.S. dollars independent of what the U.S. government does. Like the fact that we're the world reserve currency doesn't even have like that much to do with government policy. It just has to do with the fact that a lot of people around the world use dollars, and other people that makes other people want to use dollars because that's the widely accepted thing, right? Like that's not a like government policy influencing that necessarily. And I mean, it's just a safe asset to hold generally. So like people want to hold it. But that's partly true. I don't think the largest reason for a trade deficit is because our dollar is strong. I think the largest reason is actually just because we're such a good place to invest in, and a trade deficit is offset by the, financial account surplus, right? So really net capital inflows. Net capital inflows is equal to the trade deficit. So, or they offset each other, equal and opposite amounts. So if a lot of people just want to invest in us, we're going to end up running trade deficits
in this country than in other countries. Our economy is based upon consumption.
But part of it is, because Sam is right. We consume a lot of shit. American consumers are rich. We have a lot of money to consume cheap goods from other countries.
Economy improved. Don't you think we have the leverage to ask more from them?
I think tariffs work if there is a specific industry.
Yeah.
We saw this in the CHIPS Act, right? There were carrots and there were sticks.
Mr. Charlie says that MT who doesn't believe money as a commodity. Is that unironic?
In the CHIPS Act, we want to onshore.
It wouldn't surprise me if Sam was actually secretly MMT or not secretly MMT, but leaned MMT.
Production in this country, both for economic reasons, but also like long-term national security reasons. So what you do is you provide incentives and disincentives.
Have you ever negotiated a deal with anybody?
Well, I mean, yeah, I guess so.
You do. And are you a decent negotiator? Are you a bad negotiator? Are you a horrible negotiator? What would you put yourself as a negotiator?
It depends on the context.
Okay.
Trump is the ultimate negotiator. Is that the line? Is that?
Do you try to find a way to negotiate where both sides win, like a fair negotiation?
Yes.
Okay. So this is.
What do you think free trade is? It's both sides winning. Both sides winning, dude.
Newsweek. It's a newspaper and outlet that's on the left. But Rob, if you can go all the way to the top. Okay, this is a Newsweek outlet. So full list of countries of reciprocal tariffs. This is from today, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Yesterday it was updated today. Okay. Yep. Go a little bit low, Rob, if you could. So let's just kind of go. No. Okay, let's just start from the top and see what it says. So it talks about the Liberation Day. Great. Got it. Why it matters. Tariffs remain in place until U.S. narrows a 1.2 trade imbalance recorded last year. That means.
Why does it? Okay, doesn't matter. By the way, dude, I think it's Patrick like David is his name, right? This guy's an unbelievably stupid understanding of the trade deficit. He doesn't understand the balance of payments 101. He has a video where he's like, imagine I'm your fucking I work with you and I give you clients to sell to, and we have a business relationship. And I'm supposed to give clients to you too. But I never give you to clients. Is that a good relationship? Well, that's basically what's happening with the trade deficit. It's like, no. It's really not. It's really not, buddy. He's fucking retarded. Like I think he basically probably has a worse understanding of the trade deficit than Trump does, honestly. Like,
we're making
$1.2
trillion more than we're making. Okay, that's the imbalance. Okay, so this is new. Great. Got it. Why it matters. Tariffs remain in place until U.S. narrows a 1.2 trade imbalance recorded last year. That means we're making others $1.2 trillion more than we're making. Okay, that's the imbalance. Okay, so this is Newsweek.
I literally, I don't even know what to say to that. I don't even know what to say to that. That is not what it means. That's not. That I don't understand how you could even I don't even know how he got there. How he got to the trade deficit means that we're making people $1.2 trillion richer than we. I literally don't know how you got there. I have a trade deficit with my grocery store because I buy a lot of goods from my grocery store and they don't buy any goods from me. Does that mean I'm making the grocery store richer than I am? Like, no, because I get the goods that I want. What do you mean? It's a mutually beneficial relationship. It doesn't mean I'm being ripped off. And two, again, the trade deficit exists largely because the U.S. is such a good place to invest in. Investors want to invest their money here because the U.S. market has higher returns than other countries. Guys, if you go to nonfon.blog, okay? Nonfon.blog, and then you go to Canadian statehood presents a challenge for a protectionist, and you go to trade deficits aren't really bad. There's an explanation here. Look at this, the Economist article. If you invested at $10,000 in the American stock market at the end of the year 2000, you would have about $27,000 by the end of 2023. If you had invested in global equities, excluding America, you would have only had about $16,000. America's just a really good place to invest in. America's a good place to invest in. That increases trade deficit because anyone can go to ChatGPT and ask, does net capital inflows equal the trade balance? And it will tell you, yes. Does NCO, net capital inflows, equal NX? Or sorry, net capital inflow. No, alpha. No, it's right. Sure. No, it works either way. But that's crazy. That's crazy. Isn't it a equal exchange? Isn't it an equal exchange because 20 yards of linen equals 1 ounce of gold equals X dollar, or X product equals Y equals B? So what does trade deficit even mean? I don't know what you're trying to say, quite frankly.
The president said there was a
It means that we are buying more stuff from other places than they're buying from us.
Sure, yeah.
Because we have the biggest consumer engine in the world.
Sure.
So it would make sense.
But, okay, so if that's the argument, continue. Now, then the next thing would be, hey, charge me the same thing I'm buying from you as you're buying from me. Let's keep that number the same number. Don't overcharge me for it.
Why? Literally, why? Wait, sorry.
The next thing would be, hey, charge me the same thing I'm buying from you as you're buying from me. Let's keep that number the same number. Don't overcharge me for it. That's very...
How's that overcharging? How's that overcharging? Dude, when will they invite me on to debate this shit? What the fuck? Get me on. What are you talking about, bro? What done?
That is not a tough request that we're making. Go a little bit lower, Rob. Keep going. So the president's based on tariffs of 10% of all imports. Okay, great. According to chart, Trump held 34% on Chinese imports, 20% on goods, European goods. All that'll come up and go a little bit lower. That's the picture he's talking about. Keep going lower, Rob.
So it's ultimately going to be 54 plus another 10 on China.
Until we become reciprocal. Yes, the U.S. had an overall trade deficit of 918 in 2024, with the largest gaps coming from China, 295, EU, 235, Mexico, 172, Vietnam, 123. That's the numbers that we have there. Then Cambodia topped at a chart of 49% tariffs, followed by Madagascar, 47%, Sri Lanka, 40%.
Sam already explained. I don't understand how dude, what a fucking insane podcast setup where you invite one left-wing guy who doesn't even have a laptop or anything, and you just, anytime he brings up a point, you're like, no, I'm not Googling that. Fuck yo dairy stuff. Like when he said Google, just Google to see I'm right about the Canadian dairy tariffs. And they're like, no, fuck your shit. We're gonna Google our own shit, which agrees with us. You just have five people circle jerking each other off to this one left-wing person that you think you can make look like an idiot, but
4%, Vietnam 46%. If these were the two countries you said they don't have people there, I think
shouldn't I put the word deficit in a term? Oh, deficit must be bad. Very true, blind samurai. Jesus fucking Christ! Dude, shit. The question I would ask these people is just, here's what I would say. I would say, Patrick, just real quick, we also have a financial account deficit. Do you think that we should get rid of our financial account deficit? And then presumably he'd be like, yeah. And I'd be like, okay. So I'm going to say something that's going to blow your mind, okay? One of those accounts has to be in deficit unless we have perfectly balanced trade, but that's not feasible. It's not feasibly going to happen. One of those accounts has to be in deficit. That's how the balance of payments works. The trade deficit is offset by a capital account surplus. And that capital account surplus is investment coming to the U.S. That investment helps the U.S. That investment lets our government spend money for cheaper, borrow money for cheaper. It lets companies expand. It decreases the real interest rate, which makes it cheaper to borrow money for everyone. Like that investment is really good.
People there. So if we go a little bit lower, keep going. Here's a full list from Newsweek. China, tariffs charged to the U.S., 67%.
That's just not...
Us to them, 34%.
Sam is correct. Please
EU,
listen to
39%.
Sam, please.
The White House put out, and all economists are looking at this and going, what are they talking about?
Can fact check
they're not going to put out false information.
Can fact check this. If not, 67%.
That's just not...
Us to them, 34%. EU, 39%.
This is the list that the White House put out, and all economists are looking at this and going, what are they talking about?
Can fact check
they're not going to put out false information.
Can fact check this. If not, that's Newsweek. You don't believe...
President of the United States just held up a thing.
You believe in real news. So Taiwan, 60...
They, first of all, they released the equation they used, which they didn't even use correctly. Tim Pool starts a big channel. Dude, Tim Pool is, Tim Pool needs someone to debate free trade. Okay, sign me up. He's got others. He got Gibbs on. He got Connor on. He got Fabian on. He's having Wick on and Lactoid on. I don't even know. How are you? I don't understand. How are these people this bad? How are they this? How is their brain this broken? Dog, they're not going to put out false information. Dog, Sam literally in the first 5 minutes of this debate explained what they did to get the reciprocal tariff rate. He explained these aren't the tariffs they're charging us. All this is the trade deficit divided by imports. And Sam is 100% right. The White House released their equation, and their equation is, well, technically, their equation is the trade deficit divided by imports plus two terms that cancel each other out. So it is exactly equal to the trade deficit divided by imports. And by the way, they misused their own formula. They cited the wrong number from one of the studies that they used. There's a thing in that formula, a variable in that formula that's supposed to represent the elasticity of import demand with respect to import prices. But they didn't do that, though. They cited the elasticity of import demand, or the elasticity of import prices. Oh, sorry. I think it was this. Yeah, an elasticity import prices with respect to tariffs. They have 0.25 here. This is not correct. They accidentally cited, or maybe purposefully cited, because they wanted these two variables to cancel each other out. The elasticity import prices with respect to or elasticity of retail prices with respect to tariffs. The mistake was citing the response of retail prices to tariff as opposed to import prices, as they should have done. The article to cite makes it clear that they find tariffs are passed through almost fully the U.S. import prices, while finding more mixed evidence regarding retail price increases. They just cited the wrong fucking number because they're insanely incompetent and retarded. And probably wasn't even a person. It's probably ChatGPT. Unironically, there's no strong evidence for this other than if you ask ChatGPT to come up with a way to calculate reciprocal tariffs, it gives you that formula. They could have unironically just used ChatGPT to come up with this fucking formula.
B2. Japan 46.24. India 52.26. Who the hell negotiate? Look at, by the way, each one of them is almost 2x. 26 times 2 is 52. 25 times 2 is 50. 36 times 2 is 72. 31 times 2 is 62, but they did 61. 32 times 2 is 64. Malaysia 24.47. Go a little bit lower, Rob. 49.97. 10.10 UK were the same. So South Africa 30.60. Brazil 10.10. Bangladesh 37.74. 2x. If these numbers are true, Sam, let's say somebody on the left. Okay.
Sam already explained to you they're not true. Also, I'm rage quitting because I lost all my money.
Fact checks this, and this is someone that's a person you respect. If these numbers are accurate, what do you say then?
I'm going to read from CNBC since you guys won't Google this. Many observers...
Yes, thank you, Sam. Yes, thank you. Yes.
So the U.S. appeared to have divided the trade deficit by imports from a given country to arrive at tariff rates for individual countries.
What's the title?
So this was really weird. So in the first episode of Devil May Cry, they had this character in the beginning of the show. There's no way, right?
The radical left is already using this to push their agenda that America should step down from our role as quote-unquote global policemen.
With tech like that, it was probably the Russians.
Now, the government, the corporates that own it, and their loyal propagandists in the news media want you to blame the Russians. How stupid do they think we are, folks? Huh?
This was a strike against God himself.
Carried out by sophisticated...
I don't know, guys. What do you think? Yeah, that's crazy.
network of terror.
Okay.
Google CNBC. How did the U.S. arrive at its tariff figures?
Go for it. We're not uncomfortable showing clips. Just say it, he'll pull it up. So which part do you want him to read?
Well, scroll down.
Yes, you are. You shut him down.
Number 2. Many observers said the U.S. appeared to have divided the trade deficit by imports from a given country to arrive at tariff rates for individual countries. Such methodology doesn't necessarily align with conventional approach to calculate tariffs. I mean, they've just made up what the tariffs were.
No.
Sam.
Okay, maybe their methodology
Sam, but
is different. But what are the actual tariffs?
This is my question, though. I actually want to know.
It's like 2%. It's like closer to maybe 10% for like some developing countries, but for our advanced allies, it is like literally 2%. It's sometimes it's not even more than we tariff than we tariff them. Like, although it's gonna be fucked up now. I don't know yet. Okay, it hasn't updated yet, but eventually China is gonna have a fuck ton of tariffs on us. Like if all the EU countries are 1.64, like some of the developing countries are kind of high, like India, you can see 6.2. I think we have 104% on China, and then I don't know what they have on us. Actually, we have 125% on China. I don't know what they have on us right now, but it's a lot.
This year, Rob, you can ask Grok to fact check it. You can go under Charlie Kirk.
Ask Grok to fact check it. Oh, I hate these people. Oh, first of all, Grok would tell you probably the same thing Sam did, which is, hey, guess what? They divided the trade deficit by imports, and that's a fucking dumbass thing to do. But, oh, my God. I hate these people. I hate these people. I hate these people.
And just happened, Grok, is this accurate, these numbers? You can go to ChatGPT, that's ran by Sam Altman, who is an enemy of Musk, and see what that one says. You can fact check both of them. This is all I want to ask you to see what's your credibility with being able to reason. If those are correct, that they are charging us more taxes than we are, what do you think is the right thing to happen? If those numbers...
They're not charging. Kill me. Dude, he knows we're not the ones that pay the tax. Right. Right. Especially because these are like mostly smaller countries tariffing us, and they don't even really have the ability to affect world prices. We actually do have the ability to affect world prices. A lot of other economies don't, but
are correct.
I think we should look at what industries we want to build in this country. Car industry, let's say. Let's say we want to build solar panels, which is one that I would choose. Just as an example, we could go down the list, right? And I would also look at like, okay, what regions do we have in this country that need more jobs, more manufacturing? And then I would target tariffs, not necessarily on the whole country that's coming in, but I would target on those products coming from a given country, because that is what is called a plan.
Does it matter
as opposed
what the
to this?
No,
absolutely.
So you're willing to pay more you're willing to allow the other person to tax you more for a product you're buying than you're doing it to them? Who needs who more?
They're not taxing me.
Hang on a second. The reciprocal tariff is simple. It's saying if you charge me an additional 30, let's match it. I'll do 30 as well.
The point is that when let's say China has a 50% tariff on our cars.
Yes.
Okay. And they do that because they want to build their car industry. It is not going to create inflation in China because they have such a high tariff on our cars. We may have, and certainly by we mean corporate America.
Politicians.
And maybe
not corporate America.
It's corporate America.
It's politicians.
Listen, I saw in the 90s like how corporate America was so freaked out by Tiananmen Square. But I'm telling you.
My question is, if that's accurate, if those numbers are accurate, that we're
I'm not going to punish the American people with a regressive tax because you have some literally elementary school notion of fairness.
Elementary school. Honestly, if those are true, okay, on them charging us more, would you sit there and support?
They're charging more for our products to get in there.
Do you think it's fair for us to pay twice as much as we're charging them? Do you think
how is your brain this broken? 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 Like, dog, what do you? Also, it's the position. It's so dumb. It's his position. The free trade is good. It's just like unfair. Because I don't know. Seems like this guy just tends to like generally be opposed to free trade in the first place. I don't know. It seems like he's argued before. They're like, oh, free trade is going to have all these negative effects. But now all of a sudden, like it's he's doing the thing. Like we have to use tariffs to get the free trade, which is bad. Like
I don't think that fairness has anything to do with it. What's
you're
best
the
for the American
one that
person?
claims you're a fair guy.
What's best for the American public?
Okay, so let me ask you another question. Who needs you more? Does YouTube need you, or do you need YouTube?
I probably need YouTube.
Why do you need?
Can it be mutually beneficial? But I would see how the stock market swung up and down like 4 times. Yep. Dude, I saw allegedly, people suspect that there's actually insider trading going on. Because they were it's like right before people were like buying stocks right before Trump announced the tariff pause, which obviously swung stocks up a lot.
You do more.
Because they have a lot of other people they can go to.
Oh, thank you. Who needs you more? America? Do you need the American customers, or do we need Bangladesh? Who needs you more?
We better hope that a lot, of these countries don't. I mean, Canada is starting to develop a different relationship.
Is it not? How broken is your brain? Like, is it mutually beneficial? Could it not be the case that it's mutually, even if one side benefits more, which is possible? In fact, that's likely the case with, again, a lot of smaller developing countries. They probably benefit more from trade than we benefit from trade with them. But, like, it's still mutually beneficial. There's still mutual benefits. We're still better off for trading with them.
With China. I mean, this is going to ruin a lot of...
It's going to bring jobs to America. This is why Apple said, I'm investing.
No, how broken is your brain? 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 It's not good. Again! What are these? Now we're on the getting jobs to America point. Weren't we just on the oh wait, fuck. Wait, how do I get seeds? I forgot.
I think 500 billion here. This is why UAE said 1.4 trillion. This is why Saudi said 600 billion.
Again, tariffs shift investment from unprotected sectors towards protected sectors. They don't actually increase that investment. $1 trillion social media tariff troll. Walter Bloomberg? Yeah, I saw this, yeah. I didn't see this video, but...
And this is why all these companies said hundreds of billions. Why are they saying that? Why are they saying that, though? Why are they saying that?
I hope this goes well.
But why do you think? Why did Rolls-Royce say we're going to move our different plants that we have from Mexico, Canada, and China to U.S.? Why are they saying that? Why are they saying that? These are jobs.
I think they also announced that they were going to, or it might not have been Rolls-Royce, but there are other car companies that announced that they were going to lay off people. Again, we have good reason, in theory, to believe that trade decreases jobs in net because of opportunity cost, right? It draws resources away from protected sectors. If you do a tariff, you're going to, for example, again, hurt the export sector. If you do broad-based tariffs, you tariff intermediate goods, which is effectively just the same as taxing the business, right? Like you're increasing the cost of doing business. You increase the cost for companies to buy the materials they need to produce the goods they produce. And that hurts the business. That hurts wages. That hurts jobs. And every empirical study confirms this. We have studies over 50-year periods from 151 different countries. The IMF did. Tariffs decreased employment. We have studies from tariffs in Trump's first term. Tariffs decreased employment. We have studies from George Bush's tariffs. They decreased employment. We have studies from Obama's tariffs. They decreased employment. We have studies from other countries where tariffs decrease employment. Tariffs don't help jobs on net.
Your American people that are not getting paid. Trump's trying to get those people jobs. Why don't you support it?
There may be unemployment in America is at like 4%. Like this isn't even a...
Maybe some benefit in terms of like manufacturing, but overall...
Sam, why? Sam, why?
You're going to have a regressive tax on America.
If you...
It's not targeted. When you target cars, I agree with you. Tariffs have a place, but there's no plan here. The idea of just blanket fairness doesn't mean anything because you're forcing Americans.
Dude, the guy's done more in the first 60 days than the last previous 4 presidents, not including.
And I hope the courts continue to inhibit what he's doing.
Sam, just to build on what Pat was saying, Apple promising to invest $500.
By the way, I hate the Apple thing so much. Anyway, oh, fuck. What was I going to say? Oh, fuck.
$1 billion.
That's good job.
Sam, just to build on what Pat was saying, Apple promising to invest $500 billion. SoftBank, Oracle, $500 billion. NVIDIA.
SoftBank, by the way, is a foreign firm, which again is funny. Because if you know basic accounting, you know that SoftBank investment actually probably increased the trade deficit because net capital inflows is equal to the fucking trade deficit. If other countries want to invest a ton of fucking money into us, that causes a trade deficit. That basic accounting, again, the trade deficit is offset by financial account surplus, by capital inflows.
TSMC, the Semitic, tariffs? 100 billion, 200 billion, Meta, 500 billion, Eli Lilly.
And again, none of this, there's got to be a more updated metric of this. A lot of this, again, Apple may be investing, but it probably means other companies aren't investing. That's again, tariffs don't actually cause a net increase in investment or a net increase in output. They just shift investment from one sector to another. So I was looking at the, I mentioned this because Tyler, our debating joy, when we were debating, mentioned the same thing. If you actually look at, there's probably a better, more updated, a thing that actually updates this more often. But if you actually look at investment on net, this is the GDP Now forecast thing, which I think this is the last time they mentioned this, but the nowcast of first quarter real personal consumption expenditure growth and real private fixed investment growth fell from 1.3% and 3.5% respectively to 0% and 0.1%. This is a real private fixed investment growing 0.1% when it was previously growing 3%. Jesus, yeah. Obviously, the uncertainty, by the way, we have studies on this too. Uncertainty decreases business investment. So not only do tariffs decrease business investment on net, or I could imagine a case where they increase business investment on net, but you're going to be decreasing consumption or other saving in order to get that investment. But the uncertainty around the tariffs reduces investment.
27 billion. Johnson & Johnson, DMAX, CMA, CGM, Stellantis, GM, Hyundai. The list goes on. All these companies are basically saying we're going to bring back manufacturing jobs to America. Bringing back jobs will stimulate the economy. Isn't that good for America?
Part of why
it cost and net jobs again. I think Sam might mention this, but again, for all the reasons I mentioned, a cost net job is not going to stimulate. I don't understand it. How broken are people's brains? Do you think do you think resources are free? This Iowa car crop is a nice intuitive example to give people. There are two technologies for producing automobiles in America. One is to manufacture them in Detroit, and the other is to grow them in Iowa. Everyone knows about the first technology. Let me tell you about the second. First, you plant seeds, which are the raw materials from which automobiles are constructed. You wait a few months until wheat appears, then you harvest the wheat, load it on the ships, and sail the ships eastward into the Pacific Ocean. After a few months, the ships reappear with Toyotas on them. International trade is nothing but a form of technology. The fact that there's a place called Japan with people and factories is quite irrelevant to America's well-being. To analyze trade policies, we might as well assume that Japan is a giant machine with mysterious inner workings that convert wheat into cars. Any policy designed to favor the first American technology is a policy designed to favor American auto producers in Detroit over American auto producers in Iowa. A tax or ban on imported automobiles is a tax or ban on Iowa-grown automobiles. If you protect Detroit car makers from competition, then you must damage Iowa farmers because Iowa farmers are the competition.
Let me tell you why I respect Sam. Do you know why I respect Sam?
Can be helpful.
Here's why I respect Sam.
We're not going to get huge banana production in the United States.
True
as well. True. I don't think Sam's mentioned the intermediate good thing, but there's just a lot of goods that just can't be made here, and it doesn't make sense to tariff them. And there are a lot of goods that are used to make other goods, and it doesn't make sense to tariff them because that's just the same as taxing the business. You don't even help businesses in the case where you tariff intermediate goods like you ordinarily would with a regular tariff in a final good. You would help whatever domestic business produces that good here. With intermediate goods, you don't even do that.
It costs an extra 10, 20%.
Hundreds of billions of dollars.
But he's not going to give you credit. He's not. You don't understand. He just said earlier, I'm not going to give my money to a private corporation.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
He just told you
earlier.
I said
I'm not going to give it to Clear at the airport.
No, you said private corporation.
I have TSA pre. Why would I give it to the private?
We can go back and play what you exactly said. This is recorded. So for me, I'm already at a point that I ask you if it's the same.
Maybe Americans belong in their natural habitat of factories, and the Japanese should be eating more rice and less wheat. Truth.
numbers are accurate, do you support it?
No.
I would go, okay, so no matter what Trump does, you're not going to support.
No, I would support targeted tariffs.
If trillions of dollars are going to be invested in the U.S. economy to create jobs, you don't support that.
What's that?
If trillions of dollars of money is going to be invested.
I'm going to shoot myself. You just shift investment. You shift investment. You're not going to, again, there's opportunity cost to think. The resources being used to make these plants in America have opportunity costs. Every American working in a steel factory is an American that could have been working for Apple. Every American, like Apple's an engineer, not like Apple screwing in assembling iPhones. Jesus. Every American making shirts is an American that could have been working for Microsoft.
Invested into our economy to create jobs. You don't support that.
No,
you want that money to go to the 10 million illegal immigrants that came here that was open order on
True.
And by the way, the fact that you're open about it and you're honest about it, great.
Okay.
At least you're not playing games. At least you're saying that's who I am. I would much rather give my money to TSA because it's a government entity than clear. It's private. I would much rather give my jobs to illegal immigrants than give the jobs
Clear
to
is
Americans.
also like double the price.
Wow.
It is. At least you get what you
That's
pay
now
for,
you're
right?
changing how the
I
argument
mean,
goes.
I even had a problem, to be honest with you, paying TSA pre because it is sort of just creates two-tier system.
Would you be comfortable if there was no clear and no TSA pre-check and everyone just had to be exactly the same, just everyone TSA?
I mean,
would you be comfortable with that?
Comfortable in this? I mean, the way that it was.
There's
before?
no paying for anything. There's no clear.
I do think
there's
it's
no TSA
unfair
pre-check.
to people who
Everyone
can't
just
afford to pay that they have to wait in line and that rich people get to fly through. I do struggle.
Did you fly first class on the way here?
No.
Have you ever flown first class?
Back in my show business days.
What an elitist you are. Have you ever flown private?
They would pay.
Have you ever flown private?
No.
So everyone should be the same. Everyone should just do TSA. Everyone should fly economy. It's very unfair if some people are doing better than others.
I think we can agree that it is a little unfair that money will get you through that line at the airport, which is like it's supposed to be mass communication. I mean, mass transportation. Yeah, I do think it's
what? Do you only take the regular basic Uber?
Do I only take the
basic Uber?
Lyft?
Uber, Lyft? Do you never use the black? You never use the SUV?
I did to come here.
What an elitist you are.
That was the one you sent.
Oh, so you won't pay out of pocket, but if someone will pay for you.
But wait, there's one thing.
So you're a straight up communist. I love it.
Hold on, there's one thing that you said.
I respect the fact that you're here. You're just espousing socialist communist ideas. Massive respect for you coming here. You can embrace it. It's all
the one thing that kind of just brushed over.
No,
is you saying that you hope that these judges keep interfering with Trump's agenda, which is you're basically cheering for unelected bureaucrats to go against the will of the people. Like you're hearing yourself. That's not the
Dog. God, dude. Dude, fuck these people. These people don't care at all, by the way. When Republicans would hardcore fucking judge shop in Texas, one of the Texas district judges to stop any of the shit Biden did. Dog, what the fuck are you talking about? First of all, I mean, judges are unelected, but they are appointed. Second of all, if Congress wants to change the authority of judges, they can do that. Congress, under the Constitution, has the authority to change the rules about what judges under the Supreme Court can like affect and everything. They can change their jurisdiction and shit. And I would support that because again, under Biden, you guys didn't even do what Democrats did, because Trump has done actually way more insanely questionably legal shit than Biden has done. Biden was not doing invoking the Alien Enemies Act to do summary deportations without giving immigrants due process. Biden just tried to cancel student loan debt, which eventually the Supreme Court did rule illegal. But like, or at least in a mechanism, he did it at first, right? But Jesus, yeah. Yeah, dude, Biden was not dismantling agencies unilaterally. Like Biden did not have the Doge shit going on, and you guys still judge shopped again. It was like Texas Fifth Circuit or whatever, I think, where there was really only like one judge, and that judge was super conservative. So basically, conservatives knew that if they were able to get their like complaint filed in that circuit, they would have like a really high chance of winning and getting like an injunction to get the federal government to stop whatever they were doing before a higher court could rule on it, and usually come down on the side of Biden. But
democracy, that's a power grab. So you're happy with all the judges and all the law firms going after Trump? Yeah, those are like the guys. You're cool with that? So if it happens to your guy?
I am cool with judges appointed by Bush and Obama and Biden and Trump stopping the unelected bureaucrat Elon Musk from shutting down key functions of our government. Yes.
Okay, our government has been broken for, like, what has anybody done to fix any of the problem?
God.
All the money going, all the everything. The fact that you're happy with them trying to, Sam, this is the will of the people. How many, 70-some million people? You can laugh all you want, but you're happy with judges interfering with what the president of the United States has been tasked to do. He has a mandate, he's kicking ass, and I feel, Sam,
I will quote from Elon Musk. This is a referendum on Trump. This is a referendum on Doge. This is a referendum on Musk. And 2 nights ago, he got clobbered in Wisconsin. And he was there on the ground in front of a big American flag, telling lies about Social Security and the American people in Wisconsin. Not all, 60% of the people in Wisconsin, this purple state, basically said, go home. Enough so that Trump has to leak that he's going to get rid of Musk and kick him out. I don't think he actually will. But he felt the sting enough that he realizes he has to do that because Doge and Musk, and I suggest Trump, very unpopular. I mean, obviously we're talking a margin, right? Because there's going to be 45% of people who are going to be in favor of whoever the Democrat is and 45% who are going to be in favor of whoever the Republican is. But on the margins, yes, 6 months ago it was different, but today it's very different, I think.
But Sam, and here's the thing. Okay, so Trump is done after this, right? 4 years, he's gone.
You promise?
Well, he's going to be gone. Like, he likes to troll all you guys, and you guys all lose your minds, and I get it. But what? Here's my thing. Again, and this is going back to the beginning. What are you guys offering? What is your side saying? Okay, besides the Trump evil Hitler, because that shit didn't work, your side literally called him Hitler, and the guy got shot in the freaking head. Okay, that's your party.
That's all Democrats offered. What child tax credit? Like, what healthcare reform? What?
Okay, who are you guys going to put up? Who is it? Because it looks like it's going to be Gavin Newsom. He's podcast, all this shifting to the other side. You guys literally
kind of doubt it's going to be Gavin Newsom.
I would bet you any amount of money that it's not Gavin Newsom.
It's going to be the front runner for this upcoming.
I will bet you any amount of money that the nominee in 2028 will not be Gavin Newsom.
Nominee is going to be running.
Guys, place your bet.
Yeah,
$100.
$100?
That's all?
Let's do $500.
Oh, look at this.
No, $500.
Look at 400.
No, don't be a pussy.
Adam, shut your freaking mouth. I bet you $500 all the freaking time. Bet
the middle at 250 right now.
I still want to know who do you think?
Hold on.
In 2028, in 2028, who is right now? I know it's a while out. Who in 2028 is going to be the front runner for the Democratic Party? If it's not going to be Gavin Newsom, who that slithering snake is making the move to do it? Who is it going to be? I'm very curious.
I will bet you 1,000 it won't be Gavin Newsom, but you're stuck. I don't know. I think there's a chance that like if I had to guess, and this is not necessarily who I would support, and I'm going to wait. I don't really, to be honest with you, I have spent zero time thinking about 2028. But if I had to guess, I would say somebody. No,
dude, I was promoting I was promoting the shrimp welfare project in some private, like the streamer group chat DM that we have for setting up debates and stuff. Promoting the shrimp welfare project today.
Pritzker, Whitmer, Pritzker.
A billionaire.
You're comfortable with the fact that he's a billionaire?
No.
Someone's so bad at debate when
like
he's
I said,
not.
I'm just guessing based upon like what I'm seeing out there.
I don't think he's been bad here. I think he's done pretty decent, especially considering the bullshit. This fucking bullshit circumstance that he's in. Where people like refuse to fucking Google like what he tells them to Google. It's like they're just lying and they're just not listening to him.
Buttigieg also not a fan. I think he's going to run. I think, like you say, Newsom's going to run. I would imagine there's going to be a couple of people in Congress who are going to run.
You guys are there.
I don't know if I could, even in a list of people that I would name, I would feel that confident that I would know who would win.
So if you could
Stalin, Mullen have been dead for so long.
That's funny. If you could root for one person, like just like I would like to see this person.
Is he going to say AOC?
Bernie?
Well, no, Bernie's me too old. He's
so AOC?
No, I mean, AOC I don't think would win.
So who's your person? If you could put your money on one person.
That's my point. They don't have anybody. That was my point.
No,
they have nobody.
I don't speak for the Democratic Party.
I'm asking Sam Cedar. I'm asking the Democratic Party. You got to have someone in mind that you would like to see.
I think Murphy's also going to run. I want to see what people like. Who shows up with what?
I'm not even speculating. I'm asking who would you want to see? You?
No.
But you don't have anybody.
Yeah, saying Google is not a point. What happened was they were talking about supposed tariffs on Canadian or on dairy entering Canada, and Sam was like, "You're lying because that tariff only applies once Canada imports a certain amount of dairy from the U.S. and we never reach that threshold, so." That tariff never actually applies. And he was like, Google it, like just Google it to make sure I'm right. And they just like did not Google it.
You don't understand?
Really?
Yeah, I want to see who's going to.
You're a big podcaster. You don't have one person you'd like to see
to be president?
Yes.
It really depends, like on.
Just give me a name.
I don't have like.
How do you not have a name?
Well, that was my point. They don't have anybody, bro. That's the whole point I was making.
I'm not asking them. I'm just saying Sam Cedar, professional podcaster, progressive, democratic socialist. You don't have one person you'd like to see?
Like to see as president?
Himself. I'd vote for Sam. That's it.
I mean, I'm curious. I'd be curious, like. if I just don't know enough about like someone like Andy Bashar.
Okay, but you know enough of who you like. Just say who you like.
I don't have that kind of relationship with politicians.
You don't know their names? You know their names?
I've had on the show.
Come on, Sam, bro. Do better. Just say a name. We'll move on.
Jasmine Crockett.
No, I don't like her policies.
Who do you like?
I mean, Jim McGovern from Worcester, Mass.
There we go. Jim McGovern. Let me go. Congratulations, Jim McGovern.
I don't think
there's our boy. Future President of the United States, Jimmy McGovern.
Get it, Jim.
Making America great.
Let's go to the next story, too. I'd like to do two more.
He's a great, actually, congressman.
No doubt. He's got a chance.
Texas high school football star.
You should also keep an eye on Pat Ryan. I mean, there's some stuff I disagree with him on policy, but he's also pretty good up in the 18th.
All right, now you know names. I love it.
Texas high school football star Austin Metcalf stabbed in the heart, left to die in twin brothers' arms at track meet. This is a very, very difficult story.
Remember when they were talking about trade deficits? Want to chat tariffs? I mean, I can in a second. I want to finish this.
And Vinny, maybe you want to preface what happened with the story.
Okay,
here.
so they allegedly they went.
They're done. Okay, I guess we're talking about this now. God, that's fucking insane, dude. Fuck these people. Actually, fuck these people. If they were complaining that no one would come on their show, I'm not that big, but if you guys want me on your show to debate these fucking tariffs, Jesus, yeah, let me on, and you fucking retards will be demolished.
Tariffs. Mark Cuban, no, it's the worst thing. You should never do it. Trump, my favorite word in the dictionary is tariffs. Everybody's talking about trade deficits, trade surplus. How the hell does this thing work out? I'm going to explain to you tariffs in a way that you can explain to anybody moving forward. You ready? Let's just say I am an accountant, and I need.
Yeah, this is his understanding of what the trade deficit is.
Referrals. I want you to give me clients because I need to grow my business. Let's say you sell auto insurance, and we meet each other. We're friends. We're networking at a local chamber of commerce event. We say, hey man, you give me one referral, I'll give you a referral. You want to kind of share some clients together? Let's do it. No problem. So all of a sudden, a month later, I've given you 5 referrals. You've given me 0. I have a referral deficit of -5. You have a referral surplus of +5. Trade deficit, trade surplus. You get the idea? Now think about it. If a year later, 5 years later.
First of all, again, there are plenty of cases where if we, think at a grocery store where we find it perfectly acceptable and mutually beneficial to have this type of trade deficit or whatever. And Jesus fucking Christ, again, the financial account surplus, a trade deficit is offset by a financial account surplus. A trade deficit is offset when we supply China dollars because we have a trade deficit. China can do one of two things with those dollars: buy U.S. goods or invest in the U.S. They choose to invest in the U.S., and that investment in the U.S. creates jobs. It is beneficial. It lets the U.S. government borrow money for cheaply. It lets businesses borrow cheaper. It increases wages. It increases workers' productivity. Well, it increases workers' productivity and therefore wages. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. You shouldn't want less investment in the U.S. You should want more investment in the U.S. And by the way, this whole Matt Iglesias made this point on Twitter, I saw. It's obviously better to focus on, even if you want this kind of like mercantilist view set of like manufacturing and exports and all that shit. It's way better to focus on gross exports than it is to focus on trade deficits. It's obviously more conducive to a strong manufacturing export sector if you export $2 billion worth of goods but import $3 billion worth of goods. That's a $1 billion trade deficit. Than if you say exported $20 worth of goods and imported $20 worth of goods, or imported $10 worth of goods. You'd have a trade surplus in that scenario, but obviously it's a lot more important to have these large export sectors than it is just to have balanced trade or trade surplus. Jesus. Not one is the soy boy who opposes sending men into factories to make them more manly, literally against male rights. This is true. This is true, actually. I am too estrogen. I support free trade because there's too much estrogen in my body.
You and I are giving referrals to each other. I sit down and I look at the numbers. And I said, wait a minute, Johnny. I've given you 1,100 more referrals than you've given to
me. I don't even know.
Me. Do I look like a dummy to you? Why do I keep giving you referrals? And you give me nothing in return. You're like, I take care of your clients when you send them my way. What's wrong with that? I show them, I want to make some commission. I'm not making any money on this deal. It doesn't matter. I'm taking care.
So fucking stupid. Unbelievably stupid. I'm glad to see the top comments are anti-terror people. If you want to chat with me live, sub here or go to Nonfon 420 on Twitch or Kick via the links below. Once again, please like and sub to help with the algorithm, and consider sending a donation through YouTube Super Thanks to directly support me, and I'll make sure to reply to any question you ask. See you guys next time.